Hello everyone, I'm Marina and it's Sakramel School. I know that many nail techs get really stressed out when they have to deal with a difficult cuticle, a spreading one. If you also feel this way, give a thumbs up. And in this video, I'm going to show you some tips on how to deal with such cuticles and what we should do so not to injure it. It will be really exciting. Let's get into it. My model is here. Let's take a look at her hands and cuticles. We can see that the cuticle is spreading onto the nail plate, and there is a red area above it, which means that capillaries are close. You need to be extremely careful when processing such cuticles, and in the video I'm showing you some nuances and tips on how to cut it correctly. My model's nails have got a prominent longitudinal arch, so there's no need to do a nail plate alignment. They are different in length, so we will need to file them in such a way that they look even and symmetrical. Now we are taking off the old gel coverage. I'm using a green carbide nail drill bit. When the cuticle is spreading onto the nail plate, the first thing we need to do is to open up the pocket. I highly recommend doing it with an orange stick. Starting with the first sinus, going through the center, and onto the next one, making uplifting moves. In my practice, once was a curious case. The client had a similar spreading cuticle, but a really rough one. And she tried to push it back herself a bit. I have no idea what she was using to do it. But she damaged a gross point. And when she came back to me the next time, I saw that the nail was splitting. We had to wait for several months, around half a year, so the nail plate could fully grow. And we recalled this case later a lot. So she didn't do anything between the procedures, came with me with the hands as they were, for me as a nail tech to do the job. Write in the comments if you had such cases in your practice, so I could read them. If you are using a metal pusher, it may happen sometimes that the cuticle does not get pushed enough. The pusher slips out and injures the client's skin. Instead of a pusher, you may also use a safe drill bit. It's a bit that hasn't got any abrasive particles and works just as a pusher. This drill bit is extremely useful for beginner nail techs. If you're afraid to drill the nail plate, it's a perfect option for you. With its edges, it easily removes the skin particles from the nail plate and perfectly opens up the cuticle, so it's really gentle and does not damage the nail. If the lateral folds are dry, I like using a cone diamond drill bit. The diameter is 0.27, a blue one. I'm not using the red one since it won't be that effective here. Forward position, I'm processing the left lateral folds, polishing the lateral sinus, switching the position to reverse, and processing the right sides. Doing 10 nails at once. This drill bit is my favorite for processing the lateral folds, since you can easily polish with the white side, and a thin tip can easily deal with lateral sinuses. Working with this drill bit, you should not touch the nail plate, so not to thin down the nail's sidewalls. For removing pterygium, I'm using a red flame diamond drill bit, 0.23 in diameter. Forward position, the speed is 15 to 17,000 RPM, processing the left side on all 10 nails. Switching the rotation direction to reverse and processing the right sides. If you skip the step of opening the cuticle with an orange stick or a pusher, the drill bit won't get too deep under the cuticles and will drill through the nail plate. Since the cuticle is spreading, we can't always see what is going on under it. I'm pulling the cuticle back with my thumb, so I could see the surface being processed. In order to clearly see what's there under the cuticle, I recommend lifting up the cuticle with a knee file first, and only then cleaning it with a drill bit. I'm sure you have faced such cases when you have cut the cuticles, but you see that it's not as clean as you want, and have to file once again. Give a thumbs up if you faced it too. So there are 3 steps to perform in the reverse position. The first one is cleaning, the second one is lifting up and making a rim, and the third one is cleaning again. We don't do a too deep manicure on a cuticle like this, in order not to injure it. If you are afraid, you'd better not to cut the cuticles completely. Leave a thin line. The cuticle will adjust with time, and you will be able to do a deeper manicure each time. But within reason, no excess manicure. Now we're buffing the nail plate. Always do it before the cut, in order not to injure it later. I guess you have noticed that I have not shaped the nails yet. Since the spreading cuticle is wide, we should shape the form after the cut. The spreading cuticles may be either dry or wet. My model has got a wet one, so in order to dry it a bit and not to clog the drill bit, I will be using a talc powder. Applying a small amount, rubbing it into the skin and the cuticles, and brushing off the excess. For the cut, I'm going to use a rounded cylinder drill bit, 0.23 in diameter. I choose a blue one since the model's skin is dry. There is quite a big hangnail on the middle finger which I need to cut later. I'm skipping it now and start cutting. Within the first pass, with the tip of a drill bit, I'm lifting the cuticle up, and within the second one, I'm cutting it following the border between the red and the white skin areas. Now we proceed with shaping the form. We can see that the middle nail is the shortest one, so we will need to extend it a bit. Now comparing to the other hand, here on the index one, there is the longest nail bed. I can go shorter, so it will be our reference. Turn the finger to the side, cuticle to cuticle, and compare the lengths. A nail tech task is also to remove all the dirt from under the nail plate. There is nothing special about it, so I'm removing it using a cotton swab. Dehydrating the nail plate. Removing the alt coverage, I noticed some liftings on the free edge, so I'm applying a primer on the nail's tip. I will do an extension using the modeling forms. Now making cuts for the folds, peeling the form off, sticking it together and setting up. We need to set it up in such a way so there are no gaps between the form and the natural nail plate. Before laying out the gel, I'm applying a thin layer of a base coat. You may apply the base either before or after setting up the form. Many nail techs prefer to do it after the setup, in order not to touch the base coat with fingers and so that no hair or dust could stick to the base. I'm doing an extension using a high viscosity gel. We need to stretch out the free edge a bit, attaching it to the natural nail, and laying out the length. Now compare and just like that remove all the excess with a clean brush. Now I'm shaping the nails, and I will align them with the base. The first step is to create a wet underlay, applying a thin layer of a base coat. No curing. I'm putting a drop on the highest point and stretching it. I'm using a liquid base. It's perfect for this type of the nail plate. Evening out the sides, you may use a thin brush if needed, but the base coat spreads out naturally. Now we need to take a look at the architecture from the side, and if it's even, we can sand it to cure. A useful tip: for the color not to leak, you may wipe off the tacky layer of the base. I'm applying 2 layers of a color coat, and then I will add some glitter. I'm using a glitter gel polish. I'm grabbing a small amount with a thin brush and painting a thin line near the cuticle, doing 4 nails at a time. At first, I recommend stepping back from the cuticle so that the liquid material does not leak on it. Using an ombre brush, I'm pulling the material to the center of the nail. We need to achieve the rain effect. There should be a thick layer near the cuticle and a little to none closer to the middle of the nail. And only now you can paint close to the cuticle with a thin brush, applying a medium layer of a top coat to cover up the glitter. We're not done yet. For the skin to look sleeker, and in order to polish all the hangnails and prevent new ones, we will be using a silicone carbide drill bit and some oil. So let's polish the skin. I'm applying some oil on the tissue and rubbing it into the cuticle. Now proceed with polishing. The speed is 5 to 7,000 RPM, forward position. Polishing the lateral folds, I'm holding the finger as usual, and in order to polish the cuticle, I'm turning the client's hand over and in this position start polishing, moving to myself. All the tiny hangnails get sealed and won't bother again. The manicure has a longer effect. I turn the client's hand over in order not to ruin the glossy top coat. Here's the finished result. Did you like the transformation and the way the cuticle looks? Then give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Success in your work! Bye bye!